Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, members of the National Assembly, permit me to express gratitude to the Honorable Minister of Finance and his staff of the Ministry for Budget 2019 under the theme, Transforming the Economy, Empowering People, Building Sustainable Communities for a Good Life. Yes. Sir, the optics for the development of our country has indeed changed. This, I posit, is geared to transform Guyana from a state of malaise, self-development, and corrupt practices under the PPP stewardship to one of vision, development, and benefits for the people of Guyana under the leadership of the coalition government. Sir, our investment of $300.7 billion certainly will move Guyana closer for all to enjoy the good life proffered by His Excellency David Arthur Granger. Yeah. This administration has a clear vision, and that is why in this budget the government is prioritizing those investments that will rebuild the critical social and physical infrastructure in Guyana. Budget 2019 is our attempt to achieve the greatest possibilities for the good of this country. This is a budget for the people. Yeah. Yeah. Sir, I refer to the Honorable Member Nigel Dharmlal, who said that this was the last budget of the government. But I wish to let the Honorable Member know that this coalition government stands on firm ground because of its achievements and projections. The electorate is happy because they have begun to enjoy the good life. And they look forward to even better days under the APNU AFC. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Social Protection, through our numerous policies and programs, will continue to reform our social services system to deliver better results in Guyana. Sir, the year 2018 saw measurable progress and increased visibility of the Ministry of Social Protection in executing its mandate. Permit me to share some of our solid achievements and outlooks for 2019. Yes, tell them. And I come to SLED. Mr. Speaker, the Sustainable Livelihood and Entrepreneurial Development Program saw over 277 households and an estimate of 1,264 persons benefiting from projects that support income-generating activities for the sustainable livelihood. Women, youths, entrepreneurs have benefited from this program. In 2018, and I hope that my honorable comrade is listening to from where she is. 150 million was budgeted, and 33 projects were identified in various regions. Areas of business include poultry rearing, pig rearing, farming, garment construction, manufacturing outlets, preservation of fruits, making of jams and jellies, salted fish processing, shade house cultivation, women's empowerment training, block making, and leather craft production. If you want to know where, ask a proper question. The ministry looks forward to expanding this program in 2019 with the allocation of $250 million. We are investing more into this initiative because of the positive impact that the program is having on households as well as communities as a whole. We are transforming people's lives. Many who could not sustain themselves and families can now do so. The figures and the evidence are clear, Mr. Speaker. The Honorable Member, Ms. Yvonne Pearson, asked about where the development took place in the Amerindian communities. But let me with pride educate you, my comrade. Under the Ministry of Social Protection alone, via the SLED, we have empowered people in Akuwini, in Pomeroon, in Chenapau, in Hayawa, in Mokomoko, in Aranaputa, and in Aishalton, and many to which I have not mentioned. On the side of providing services for access to education via the David G's 5B's program. The Northwest District, Pomeroon, Lower Pomeroon, Madio, Letem, North Rupununi, and South Rupununi have all benefited from this program. Mr. Speaker, colleagues before me alluded to the many other programs in indigenous communities. We will continue to traverse the road of development because we believe in being a government for all the people and not a few cronies. The SLED program and the Women of Worth, the People of Worth Entrepreneurial Resources loans programs will continue to provide opportunities for funding for target beneficiaries for various business ventures in the 10 administrative regions of Guyana. Our goal is to have these programs, SLED, WOW, Empower, to assist in reducing dependency on the social safety network, probation and social services. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Social Protection recognized the importance of having effective social services. Hence, we have benefited from a technical cooperation program titled Institutional Strengthening to Guyana Safety Net. This certainly will enhance essential services delivery to the populace, senior citizens. Mr. Speaker, this government attaches significant importance to the welfare of older persons in the nation. Since this administration came into office in 2015, we have increased old age pension by 55% in 2014. Old age pension stood at 13,125. And as of January 2019, it will increase to 20,500.
I'm a simple man. I'm a simple man.
While public assistance has increased by 53%, such significant increases within 3 years must be applauded. The Palms Geriatric Residential Facility. The Palms, that's where you have to go back because you know the maths. You know the maths. 200 million, my brother. Go back and learn to count there. I'll give you an abacus. The Palms continue. My apologies, Mr. Speaker. The Palms continue to be a place of refuge and solace for the elderly, indigent population, providing accommodation, meals, and medical services to its residents. In addition to these essential services, the ministry is committed to improving the quality of life of the residents. In 2018, over 66 million was expended to maintain and rehabilitate the Palms. Works were done to the Palms Geriatric Facility. I have a place for you. And the buildings look as good as new. In addition, the following have been implemented. A health and fitness exercise program for the residents, for able-bodied residents. Operationalization of lifts in blocks A, B, and C. I'll take you to C. We have established an infirmary staffed by a gerontologist to provide immediate basic health care for residents. And residents are benefiting from wheelchair-accessible bus services. Older persons can now be confident that their future is in good hands, that their future is in the hands of the coalition government that cares and will never neglect their needs and interests. 2018, Mr. Speaker, the Night Shelter and Hugo Chavez Center. Mr. Speaker, in addition to providing temporary shelter and meals to the homeless in 2019, these shelters will continue to provide clients with referrals and information of community programs as needed. If necessary, residents will be provided with mental and medical health referrals, support groups, and other referrals that will enable them overcome the issue that would have led to their homelessness and help them to live with independence and dignity. Sir, we believe in rehabilitation when persons are down and out. We are not to give up on them. regardless of their circumstances. We have shown time and time that we will work with them so that they can have a better life. For 2018, the Hugo Chavez Center has reintegrated 23 persons, of which 20 of them have become gainfully employed. Over 100 persons are at this center at the moment. Mr. Speaker, we had a mouthful from Honorable Member Mr. Harry Gill, whom I don't see here this afternoon. But I want to say to Mr. Gill that we are pleased with the administration at the Hugo Chavez Center. And regardless what he proffered, the administration is there to stay. Mr. Speaker, it is unfortunate that my good friend, the Honorable Sheila Veerasamy, feels that the Honorable Minister of Finance not once mentioned woman in the budget. What a thing. But what is it with the word? Actions speak louder than words. Our programs cater for domestic violence victims, for children and gender affairs, among others. I encourage the honorable member to examine our programs, as you worked with this ministry before, and you know that you want to come back to work with this ministry. Let me remind you, my friend, that it is during this government's tenure that we have built a brand new home for children at Sophia with modern amenities.
Yes.
It is during this government's tenure that we have established centers, domestic violence centers at Wim and under Niming, where we protect and provide essential services to abused women. Now I will go further into details about numerous programs we have implemented to empower our women. National Gender Equality and Social Inclusion Policy. Mr. Speaker, promoting gender equality is now globally accepted as a development strategy for reducing poverty levels among women and men. In this regard, the National Gender Equality and Social Inclusion Policy provides the conceptual framework that will guide the implementation of appropriate mechanisms, policies, and protocols to address issues of gender inequality and social exclusion. This has been concluded. As Guyana seeks to meet the Sustainable Development Goal 5, gender equality, the Caribbean Development Bank will support the implementation of this policy. Sexual and domestic violence. Mr. Speaker, addressing all forms of violence against women and girls is central to achieving gender equality and women's empowerment. I wish to note that there will be continuity with some of our programs, such as awareness and sensitization sessions, which includes the annual observance of 16 days of activism. While new initiatives will be introduced, key among these are the operationalization of a shelter in region number 10, a program of support for perpetrators, and the introduction of the Hands Are Not Made for Hitting initiative among school children, in collaboration with the Child Care and Protection Agency and the intensification of the Community Advocates Program. Guyana Women's Leadership Institute. And I hope my dear comrade, Honorable Vindhya, will pay careful attention to this. This is not the time when we used to make only bed sheets and hand towels at the Women's Institute. Through the Guyana Women's Leadership Institute, the ministry has hosted in all the regions on gender and local government female decision makers geared to promote a platform to equip women with the requisite skills and knowledge to improve their individual and institutional competence within their communities and at the different sectoral areas throughout the various stages of any community undertaking. I am proud to report that a total of 460 women have benefited from that training today. Go and find them. You could find them in your time. You took 23 years and you didn't train one.
Didn't find them.
In addition to that, several women have completed courses on fruits and vegetable preservation and now in the process of forming themselves into co-ops. We are indeed transforming and building economically sustainable communities by empowering our women folk. Human trafficking. Mr. Speaker, Guyana continues to maintain its ranking on Tier 1 for the second consecutive year. You hear that? For the second consecutive year. Didn't happen before? This ranking means that Guyana continues to fully meet the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking in persons by demonstrating serious and sustained efforts. The ministry will continue to partner with the IOM to regulate the procedures and ways of providing assistance and protection to victims of human trafficking. Further assistance will be provided for the development of a TIP case management database under an IOM grant agreement, technical assistance to combat trafficking in persons. Child Care and Protection Agency. Mr. Speaker, our children, now Mr. Speaker, I really don't like to hear certain people's voices because if I were the Minister of Social Protection in those years, sir, child abuse. Mr. Speaker, our children are Guyana's most treasured and valuable resources.
Oh, boy.
And we will continue to work to ensure that their rights are protected.
Who's the abuser?
I must say that I concur with the Honorable Minister Jordan, where he stated on page 75, and I quote, "We believe that positive socialization and development of our children will mold our human resources for the future," unquote. We believe that the numerous programs that we have invested in for 2018 will bring us one step closer to realizing the goal. So, sir, permit me to share some of those achievements. The CPA hosted individual family conferences for the prevention of separation of children. The Special Capacity Building Parenting Program continued in 2018, but with more involvement of community groups, including faith-based organizations. Parenting programs were held across the regions including the hinterland regions. 340 parents benefited to date, and 1,853 children were prevented from separation. A caring government. We look after our children. The National Early Childhood Development Program, this was introduced at various health facilities. And so far, the Toddlers Reading Program benefited 2,641 children across the regions. The introduction of the Child Abuse Registry was launched in 2018. And this will ensure that information will be readily available to determine if a person who will provide care or have unsupervised access to children is known to have been involved in abusing a child. You hear that, Honorable Member Dharmlal? Teen pregnancy prevention and empowerment program to date has reached teens from regions 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 10. The successful National Multimedia Child Abuse Awareness Campaign intensified in 2018 and resulted in a steady increase in reports of child abuse and more children being rescued from abuse. Mr. Speaker, a national program is expected to be launched in 2019 for parents, caregivers, and care providers of children under the age of 5 years. Early childhood development. Mr. Speaker, construction of the new drop-in center in Suffield is currently in its final stage of completion. Honorable Member Damian, when you return the money to the post office, then you are permitted to speak.
Damon, not Damon.
My apologies, sir.
Damon.
It will replace the previous one that was destroyed by fire in 2016. This new accommodation will be a processing center for children and families in difficult circumstances. We are indeed proud of this achievement, sir. Juvenile Justice Services. Mr. Speaker, I wish to remind the National Assembly that it was during this government's tenure that the Juvenile Justice Bill was tabled and passed. Our efforts will now be focused on rehabilitative measures rather than detention for youth who come into contact with the law. NOC. Since the NOC came under purview of the Ministry of Social Protection, efforts have been directed at improving the physical facilities and its security. Mr. Speaker, I wish to note for the record that it was under this government that the ministry engaged a cognitive development specialist to review and revise the NOC curriculum in accordance with Ministry of Education standards. In addition to that, we have implemented a 2-year technical and vocational program and remedial programs in math and English. Mr. Speaker, the programs will transform the lives of at-risk youths by effectively facilitating their reintegration into society. Conclusion. Mr. Speaker, over the past 4 days, we have heard from the opposition a lot about the results of the local government elections. But, sir, I want to place on record the following, and this is not propaganda, it is facts. Those who can read over there, you can check the official gazette. The APNU AFC won 5 out of 10 major towns that has significant population.
Yes.
So I I will deduce a 50% win of the tongues. In 2016, after not allowing the electorate their right to democracy for 22 years, in 2016, the PPPC carted off 125,845 votes.
Honourable member, you have 5 minutes remaining.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For local government elections, while in 2018, their take was 122,622 votes. So if they are so powerful, Mr. Speaker, why was your win reduced
10% diminution.
instead of increased?
Yes. Good point. Good point.
My dear comrades,
Good point.
you can't be only talking about win. It got to be that you're passing win. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, a hue and a cry of a no confidence motion. But I have to tell you, honorable members on the opposite side, bring it on! Bring it on! The APNU-AFC has a solid 33.
Yes.
You have an indecisive 32.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker,
See, you better see.
the Ministry of Social Protection has been a service center for our children, single-parent women, the homeless, less fortunate, the disabled, the elderly, and many other vulnerable persons within our society. The ministry has developed relevant and essential programs which address these most important areas. They, however, are not exhaustive. We look to the future with much anticipation, eagerness, and passion to improve our own efforts, to upgrade our facilities, to uplift the living standards of our people so that they can enjoy the good life. Finally, sir, I wish to commend Budget 2019 to this honorable House and urge for its passage. God bless Guyana. God bless the people of this nation. I thank you.